in Eastern time right now. That is
We
super
are.
Are
exciting. Oh my
we?
God, and we're live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Whatever Show. I'm Lawrence Winterman.
Pull
I
it
am
up.
Dana Dubois.
I'm Ellie Leonard.
Hello, Ellie. We, normally
Welcome
we
to the
have the
Daily
guest kind of
Whatever
behind the
Show. I'm
scenes.
Lawrence Winterman.
Dana Dubois. I can't do it. It won't let me turn my volume down.
Normally we
Come on. Okay, there we go. Now I can
Yeah.
see the comments. Sorry, guys.
But we were in a little bit of a rush this morning and kind of a kerfuffle, and here you are, right from the very beginning, Ellie. We're maximizing our Ellie time, and we're just gonna have you from the get-go. How the heck are you, Ellie Leonard?
Oh man, it has been a busy week. I sent Cliff Schechter a picture of my so this is how, I know everybody's really techie, but this is how I keep my schedule. This is what helps me.
Nice.
And there's way too much ink on there. I think it's been a very, very busy month, and I'm hoping that A, things calm down next month, but B, I'm gonna set boundaries with this is my writing time, this is my live time, this is my da 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 da. I just have to be better at it, because I'm still at the phase of substacking, and it comes out of being a small business where you don't say no to anything.
Right.
Because if you say no, you'll never hear from those people again. And I don't think that's true on Substack, but in my head, that's still true. And so I say yes to everything. And I'm just
Also, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Ellie Leonard is a name now. And
yeah, that scares me.
If
that.
you said no, people would be like, oh my God, she said no. Hopefully she'll say yes next time.
That kind of terrifies me, because I don't know. I think, this is me a whole conversation about Cliff, but I was talking to him last night, and I was feels like it's gone very, very fast. And I think in my head, it probably would have been better if it had moved a little bit slower. Because I don't handle being on camera very well. I've spent many, many years being adjacent to journalism, but totally fly on the wall. Nobody knew who I was. I got to be very privy to private conversations, which sometimes is very cool, but sometimes I was man, I'm totally just a cog in the machine, and they don't know I'm a human. And so being in front and people being Ellie's here, that throws me sometimes. I'm just really oh, hey.
My gosh.
All right. Come
Ellie.
on, chat. Hands up. Who has seen Ellie on screen and thinks that she is an absolute pro?
Me. Yeah. Ellie, it has been
so many hearts just flew in from the chat.
Thank you.
I know.
We understand, Ellie, and also I think this is one of those examples of somebody discovering their thing and their purpose and their calling, and we are all getting to watch it for you in real time. You're so good at it. You're such a natural, and you know what you're talking about, and you're great.
I think. Thank you. I think, people have, this is one of the things that I've taken from evangelical church as a child, but they talked about what is your, sorry guys, I'm just going to throw that in there. But the idea of a love language, everybody has their own love language. And sometimes it's time, and sometimes it's gifts. And I think mine has always been conversation. There have been periods in my life where I've been able to have lots of conversation, and I think of Firehouse Coffee, Dana, when I was or when my kids were little, we were there twice a week consistently for years, meeting people and just having long conversations while our kids ran around under the tables. And that's just so important to me. And then there have been periods of my life where I've been elbow deep in diapers and not talking to adults at all day, and needing to fill up that cup. So I think part of this is just that I really love talking to people. I love meeting people. I love having conversations about wildly different things. Sometimes it's hard for me to always talk about the same things. I like to meet different substackers who talk about, I met with Aidan Wharton. I went over to his house and did a live at his house, which was fabulous. But just the idea that the things that he talks about are different than the things that I've been talking about, and so we could have just a much more random conversation than I'm used to. And I really like that. I like having things thrown at me that I don't expect or I haven't prepared for, because then I'm more likely to speak from my gut versus I'm repeating the thing that I've said. So I think that part of it I've really, really enjoyed. I really just like talking to people. I don't know, it just feels like a great day, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
we're
awesome.
We're gonna talk about something different today. We're talking about penguins, emperor penguins versus the South Antarctic formal penguin. So
all that will make me think of is
I studied flamingos.
March of the Penguins. I just think in my head, I think of March of the Penguins, and I think
I love that movie.
Back when we were all watching like Planet Earth and March of the Penguins and like these really nature-based films, but then like the poor baby penguin that didn't make it. Like that's
I was just gonna say the couple that goes to pass the egg, and their whole mission was that egg, and then the egg drops. I'm still shaken by that.
I know.
Seriously, no, I totally.
Ellie, I'm hoping we're going to talk some about the Epstein files today, of course, because that's your I was going to say core competency, but I'll say that's kind of what your moment is centered around. But I'm really hoping we can talk about writing, because I know all three of us came to Substack to do very different work than we're doing now, but we still have these core wishes to be writers who aren't managing this crazy thing. And and if you all will indulge me, I do want to share a funny story from where I am. Oh my God. So I'm on a secret mission, as Lawrence called it, also known as in South Florida, visiting my family. So right now, this lovely spot behind me, I am in my dad's memory care center in the, this is the private courtyard just for people who live in the memory care area he lives in. And his aide took him out here with me, and he doesn't get out here much. So he was looking at the birds, and he was really enjoying it. We took some photos, which I'll probably share and end up putting in an essay. But here's the funny part. I shouldn't tell the story, maybe, but I have to. So he has there's two men in his room, but there's a common room in between them. So he doesn't know that guy, but it's a different guy since the last time I was here. And we went down into the cafeteria, and he was sitting across the little table from him at breakfast. And the man is a lot of groans, doesn't seem to be verbal. I didn't hear him say anything the whole morning. He's just sort of groaning and drooling and all of those things. And this guy sitting across from my dad and me, just the only words I've heard him speak is he looks dead at me and he starts chanting big melons over and over again. Big melons, big melons.
I was so hoping it would be like fuck Trump or oh my God, Dana.
Big melons. And I just looked at him and I was like, did you just say that? And then I was like, I am not going to chastise the man in this condition. But it totally went over my dad's head. But weirdly, at the same time, out of nowhere, because my dad, who always voted Republican his whole life, never talks about politics anymore in his state. But he just looks at me and he's like, who's the president? And I was like,
Dad,
I don't. Jimmy Carter.
I was like, I should have made somebody up. It's Barack Obama again. No, I was just like, I don't say his name. That's what I told him on the fly. And I was like, maybe you can think of him because I'm pretty sure you voted for him before and he's president again. And he said Bush. And I was like, no, not that one. And then the topic shifted. But yeah, so nearly into a Trump conversation and big melons. And then I jumped on this call.
Your day is full then.
I was just like, seriously, does it never end? Like you're like 90 and like drooling and nearly unable to speak. And yet, yet
incontinent and undoubtedly completely unable to get or maintain an erection. And yet your old man brain is still stuck on sex.
I mean,
must do the sex.
Let's
and he's saying it. He was like sort of turning to my dad, like, she's got, luckily it went over his head, but I was just like, I mean, I introduced myself as his daughter. I don't know if you can understand that part, but I'm like, cool. Right. So I still, the moral of the story is I still got it.
Oh my gosh.
No. Surely your standards have not fallen so low.
It's just my day.
You should ask for the security footage in that room. Be like, did you have cameras up? Can I get?
Oh my God! Right? I should have pulled out my camera and just been like, so could you say that again for the camera?
Like we do with all our kids. Nothing is organic.
This is on a live. You're actually being watched by 500 people right now.
I did debate because I've written about my dad so many times that I was like, I could put him, like, I should go live with him. And then I'm like, I feel like that would actually be disrespectful, not
Yeah,
cool
it's a
Yeah,
little
with the state that he's
exploitative,
in.
maybe.
Like, that's what it felt
yeah.
like. So I haven't. He's in rec therapy right now. I'm not sure what they're doing, but yeah, Lawrence, I got up at like 6:30 East Coast time today so that I could
Oh,
do
me too.
come see my dad. I was like trying to figure out the day of like, how do I see my dad, go to the beach and do the podcast? Because this place is like 45 minutes from where my mom is. And I was like, all right, we have to see the dad early, do the podcast down here, then go to the beach. That's the order of operations. So
Yeah.
Oh,
I just want to point out,
anyways.
Macabre is saying in the chat that
Yeah.
for Spinal Tap 2, the song should have been Big Melons instead of Big Bottom.
Talking
Such a
about
Gen X comment.
oh my God. Yeah, it's not mud flaps. What would it be? My girls got him. I don't know. His bottom rhymes with got 'em. So melons,
You're gonna need a new theme song.
melons. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying
also
to think of
wanted
a
to jump
rhyme.
back in the chat and make Ellie blush here because
Oh no.
Chris in the chat says Ellie is a natural at this simply because
Yes.
there's no pretense. What you see is
Yes.
what she is. Anyone can see it.
For better or for worse.
We all sniff out the pretenders and those that want followers and
Yes.
subscribers. And Chris, I think that is such a true comment.
Yes.
You know, like Ellie, you're one of the most genuine kind of what you see is what you get people that I've met. And so I think that's
Thank you.
you know, people respond to authenticity, and we just see it over and over
Yes.
again in politics, in Substack, in, you know, in social media and everything. So
I think about that kind of thing a lot. Like I think I was a very weird, like, socialist small child or something, because I think about I've sorry Lawrence. Like,
right.
since the
Coffee
beginning
on
of
keyboard.
time.
Ellie in her little like red bandana, you know,
Oh my
raising
God.
the hammer and sickle.
Yeah.
Workers of the world unite.
I was raised by parents to be like, and we were not rich. My dad was a public school teacher. My mom stayed home with us. But like, if you had extra, you give it. You know, if you don't have money that you need, or you have money that you don't need, or you have extra somewhere, you give it. And you never put your name on the thing that you give. So like, you never get credit for the thing that you give. You don't make announcements. You don't. So if you donate like online to a GoFundMe, you never put your name on it. Like, you give anonymously. And so I think about that kind of thing a lot, because I've seen money change people. I've seen money change my friends, you know, people that I grew up with. And I think, you know, even just like the idea of having your face on something where people know who you are, like that idea of maintaining to your core who you are, your values, who you were when nobody knew you, who you were when you couldn't pay your rent. Like, on your hardest days, who you were, that should be the person that you are on your best days. You know, for your kids, especially, like, those are the people that are seeing you. You know, it's that idea of like the things you tell your kids are going to be the voices in their head when they grow up, like their conscience or whatever. And so I think about all of that. I think about like, what if I don't know. I was always like, what if I was an author and I got a book deal that was $1 billion, which doesn't exist, by the way.
Of course.
Well, how would I be a good person with $1 billion? Because you see people who are billionaires, and most of them, 99% of them, have done a very bad job.
Yes.
What are the things that are important? Okay, my kids have to go to college. We have to make sure we have a house, a vehicle, maybe a vacation once a year, and groceries in our fridge. But really, above and beyond that, like, you don't need just a bank account full of cash that's not really doing anything. So what are the things in my head, you know, if I have extra money, where could I give them that would matter? So like, I think about like school programs. I think about school lunch debt. I think about like arts programs in schools that never have the money. Like, the sports always have the money, but the arts programs never have the money. And then I think about just like community things, like immigration nonprofits, or like food banks, or things like, you know, or public radio, or like stuff like that. Like, woulda, shoulda, coulda, if I could, that would be what I would do. So I've always had this plan in my head, like, if I for some reason, you know, won the lottery, even though I haven't bought a ticket somehow, what would I do? And I hope that keeps my feet on the ground a little bit, because I think it's so easy when people tell you good job all the time for you to start believing that you're just doing a good job all the time. And you have to remember that you're not always doing a good job. Like, sometimes you're doing a bad job, or sometimes you could try harder, or sometimes you could do better.
In fact, Donald Trump, you are doing a terrible, terrible job.
Like, this should be a conversation his parents had with him, right?
For sure.
Right.
So anyway,
talk about the opposite upbringing and the opposite results of that upbringing. My God.
Trust funds never help anybody.
I will say you are doing an amazing job, though, Ellie. And it's been so incredible watching your star rise and shine and see the work that you're doing get to bigger and bigger audiences, because it's so important. And to see you remain this humble, awesome person, like, there's no doubt in my mind that that's not going to, none of those things are going to change. You are going to keep doing amazing work, and you're going to keep being an amazing person. So it's such a delight always when we get to talk to you. I will say, as I drove here today, I was listening to your Fergie emails, volume 1.
Oh yeah,
I was playing the audio
last night.
And I'm not sure how far I got through it before I was like getting confused because I was on a GPS. We're going back and forth. And then I saw you dropped another one like a few minutes before we came on air. And I'm like, I haven't read volume 2 yet. But
there's going to be
speaking of your good work, can we talk about these because I haven't thought about Fergie. And by Fergie, I don't mean my lovely lady lumps, my big melons. So that was a nice segue.
Yeah, right.
So the big melon story. We of course mean Sarah Ferguson.
Yeah.
That email thread was so hard to listen to. First of all, because why were they using email and not texting with those staccato little messages back and forth as the
and his multiple comma thing, like,
it's something with the BlackBerry. Like it was sort of like a texty thing, but it was like back when everybody was using BlackBerries, so they were just doing it really little quick and like sending things. I don't know.
Because it was I mean, I had an iPhone it was 2009, right? Like,
yeah. I don't know.
Sorry, there goes my phone.
Camera down.
I'm sitting on this very uncomfortable bench and turned to the side. So sorry if I'm fidgeting. I'm in this. I wasn't sure where I was going to do this live from, and this is. I did not think I would be in this courtyard, but there were things that struck me for as far as I got through the mails. One was the staccato tone and sort of the inane tone of how they write and how they flatter one another.
Yeah.
The other was her talking about her daughters and being around him. And I was like, girl, what are you doing? Don't bring
godchildren
girls around him.
Yeah.
But talk to us about why, of the millions of files, you chose to dive into this particular topic, this thread.
You know, sometimes it has to do when I just come upon something accidentally, like I'll find an email address and I popped up something that I was looking through when I was just scrolling the files. I was like, that's Fergie's email address. I've just found her domain. And I was like, what if I just searched that just to see? Because, well, you know, we all know the Andrews stuff and how enmeshed he was and how active he was. And you start to hear little rumors about Fergie. And I'm always really hesitant to like go after the women, especially in the royal family and especially the ones who are married into it, because I know that there's a huge target on their backs. We saw that with Diana. You know, everybody was like, I remember when I was a kid, like everybody hated Diana until the minute she died, and then she was the people's princess. And I was like, what was that? Like, how did that work? And I, you know, I worked on the Harry and Meghan doc. And so like I got a lot of the treatment of Meghan, and then you add in like racial tensions and like colonialism and like all the horrible, horrible things that she was faced with. And so I'm very hesitant to be like, oh, you know, I'm going to believe the thing when everybody says they hate Fergie.
Right.
But these emails were very eye-opening. You know, Epstein had a handful of women who did not work for him. They were not young. And he had very friendly and very flirtatious relationships with them where he wasn't short all the time. Like a lot of times if it was younger women who worked for him, like his assistants, he would have very clipped answers, very clipped, very or like even Ghislaine Maxwell kind of clipped. But when you saw that he became like a bosom friend with somebody like Steve Bannon or like Fergie, you would get like,
Bosom
I
friend.
know, I'm sorry I'm bringing out the Anthony, but like
You
would
are.
see you would see this different side of him come out where he would be more expressive and he would be more long-winded. And so their relationship, you know, the emails, which I'm sure there are more. Like, I'm sure we are not getting all the emails because right now we have them starting in December of 2008, which I highly doubt is when they started writing because it's when he's already in jail. Like, I don't think she would start a relationship with a guy already in jail. So she's writing to him while he's in jail. And then there's this moment where he gets out and there's like a parade of visitors and they're listing off all the people who are going to come to see him because he's coming out of jail. We're not going to talk about what he went to jail for, but we're going to all visit him with this long line. And one of, you know, it's her and it's her daughters. And I believe her daughters were adults by that time, but like still the idea that like nobody's acknowledging that he went to jail for sexually abusing children. They're just all of a sudden like besties. And, you know, she is a very simpering kind of dramatic personality. It's a lot of like, I just can't go on. Like, it's just over for me. And like, and then she's, you know, she's eventually asking for loans. She's like, I'm broke and I'm bankrupt. I need to borrow money. Can you ask this person for me? I can't ask them myself. And she's trying to start up this business called Mother's Army, and she can't get anybody to like fund it. And it just becomes this big.
That was creepy too. Mother's Army.
Yeah.
What was that all about? Like army against what? Pedophilia? Like, what are we arming ourselves about?
Yeah, like she wants Epstein to help fund this thing that's about being a mother, but
yeah. Wasn't it about like product kind of affirmation that like, you know, Mother's Army approved, you know, like
it's a lot of like like QVC kind of, you know, she wanted to go into that kind of thing.
Procter and Gamble will sponsor.
Where she's like, oh, sorry, Dana. The whole part where she's like, "Oh, but I can't do it without you, Jeffrey. I need the constant presence of you here to help me do it."
So weird. And then like,
so weird.
And then at some point, you'll see it down the line. At some point, she goes to the tabloids and she says something that I think she was pressured to say, or she didn't mean to say, like it slipped out. And it totally creates this like storm that then becomes like lawyers and Epstein pissed off and she's begging for forgiveness and there's like cold shouldering. But it's just such a dramatic thread. Like you think about, I don't know if you guys have had this, but you like have one friend who's just like so drama and you know that every text message from them, you're like, ugh, I cannot read that. Totally don't believe that.
I'm kidding. It's not. It's me, actually, probably. Yeah.
It's probably Denise. If she's watching, hi, Denise. We'll just blame her because she's the one who's not here.
Denise real.
Actually, let's be real. All three of us have been that person many times over during the course of our decades-long friendship. But I don't think we have one who's always bringing down the drama.
No, but there's like the person where you see them pop up and you're like, I can't read that because I'm in the middle of something, versus people where you're like, I could scroll that real quick. You're like, nope, I have to save that text message for when I'm sitting down.
100%.
So that would be Fergie. Fergie, you know, most of her messages were needing something or at least needing a response. She's not a person who can text and then not get responded to. She has to have a response to feel validated. So I just got, you know, it's kind of like a nothing burger email thread. Like I don't know that it's any kind of a smoking gun other than he's like trying to like finagle her out of bankruptcy with some probably not totally on the level means. But I just found it just wildly, just from an observational standpoint, I found it very interesting that it's not something that we've gotten to see very much before.
Right. I think what we're seeing too, I saw, I can't remember who posted it this morning, my apologies, but there was a thread with Katie Couric with him, and she's being very friendly and like, oh, hey, thanks. Dinner was great the other night. What a weird crowd, blah, blah, blah. And the person who shared it, God, I can't remember who it was. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to blame jet lag, but was like, fuck these people, these enablers who are being friendly with Jeffrey Epstein in 2010. Like he was already a
The thing
pedophile, a
with
known
him, like,
pedophile. So I
and
think
the
that
thing,
adds Fergie to the ever-growing list of enablers.
yes, and it's not, he was not somebody who you're like, it would be a surprise that he has sex offender status. Like, when you move into a neighborhood, you probably look up your neighbors, make sure they're not on like watchdog lists or whatever, just for protection of your family. But like every person you meet at your kid's school, you're not like Googling their sex offender status. Like most people, we don't know if they are, if they aren't. He was well known. Like his reputation preceded him. People knew about him. So it would have come to us as a surprise to no one, because there were articles written about him, like Vanity Fair. There, like he relished the good bad press. You know what I mean? For a while at least. And so people knew his preference for younger women, quote unquote. And they knew that he'd been to jail. They knew, his financial status. Like they knew all of that because he didn't make it a secret. They joked about pedophile parties, like that. When he would bring Woody Allen over for dinner, he'd be like, "Pedo party, ha ha ha!" Like it was a joke to people. It wasn't.
Oh my God.
A surprise. So when you hear about people
not funny.
Right.
Not funny.
When you hear about people hanging out with him post 2009. Then they hung out with him knowing the things that he had done. And that's just, there's no getting around that.
Right. No, that is.
I mean, I know I'm not the only person who is triggered every fucking day, having been sexually assaulted as a child, as an 8-year-old by creepy old dude. Like, fuck all of these people who enabled him. Even after the conviction, it is so disgusting to me.
Right.
Because as, a survivor of that experience, I want to murder anybody that I learn about who has harmed a child in that particular way. Like, I would probably literally kill somebody if they were within arm's reach and I discovered that about their background. I don't get how he still had so much power and whatever sway over people that they'd be like, oh sure, we're we're just gonna ignore that and go ask him for a loan. Come on.
Because this is why,
like you think about the story in society for as long as time has begun. The onus has always been on survivors to prove that something happened. It's never on the perpetrator. Like I know a story about a 4-year-old girl whose stepdad was in the worship team in the church. The onus was on her, a 4-year-old child, to prove that she had been sexually abused by this man. Like I think of Dylan Farrow. Onus was on her at 7 years old. I still, I have a small transcription business. I'm still literally last night, I'm still working on cases where people, are being brought in and there's child porn on their phone and they're fighting it because it's like a lawyer was found with child porn on his phone. So guess what? He's going to have a really good case because he's a lawyer and he has a lot of money. Like the onus is always on these survivors and it's never on people with money and power who commit these heinous crimes and abuse people. And even if they're not millionaires, even if they're just a dad, you know what I mean? Just by the narrative that we've always told, they have power in just being the adult male in the room. That is power and money. That's currency. And
it's so funny because if like that 4-year-old child said that she had seen Jesus and the Virgin Mary, everyone would be like, "Oh,
right
on my dad's penis as he was molesting me."
Right. Like,
my dad has a mole shaped like Jesus on his cock.
Like this should be so. It should be so simple, and there's a story. I don't remember what it is. It was like on Crime Junkies or something, but it was one of the best stories I've ever heard, and I think it was out of like Romania or somewhere. But it was like this whole town full of abusive husbands who sexually abused their wives or girls or whatever, and they would all get pregnant. And there was a midwife in town, and she taught all the women how to kill their husbands without it being traceable. And so all of a sudden, this whole town in some Eastern Europe country, all the men started dying of heart attacks, just like one at a time. And I just thought,
is this real or is this a story?
It's a real
Because
story.
I want to read the story, and if it's real, I want to visit that town and high five everybody.
And eventually they caught the midwife and some of the women, and they were convicted. Wow. But it was like, she's like, this is how you fight back. This is the poison they take that is untraceable. And it was the story of this entire town of women fighting back against sexually abusive husbands. And it was like a phenomenal story. I don't know, it was in the 1800s or like early 1900s, but it was a really interesting story, because it was like, we're not that people should be out poisoning people, but like, we're not a society that teaches globally, that teaches women that they even have the opportunity to fight back. Like it's always women whose services are taken away. Like if you're raped, your abortions are taken away. You're not taught, you're taught to dress differently. You're taught not to have like self-defense courses. We're creating this bubble in which this continues to happen over and over and over again.
We're taught it's our fault.
And then we cushion the men and just say, like, I know it was hard. Like, you see this in the files over and over again. They're talking about like children. They're like, well, yeah, but she was seducing him. And it's like, I don't care what she did.
Right.
Oh my God.
She was a child.
It is always
not matter.
Yeah. The men don't have control over these desires.
They don't have control. Young, Yeah. She was a hussy, and it does. It makes me want to scream and just hit things.
But he was a promising athlete with his whole future.
Oh my God!
He only raped that one woman that one time.
Brock Turner.
Guys, he was white, guys. He'll be fine. He was
right. No, he's got a future in lacrosse. He's such a promising lacrosse star.
Right.
Fuck you.
Still so angry about
Brett Kavanaugh. Yeah, I'm so angry about Brett Kavanaugh.
I'm still angry about Brett Kavanaugh too. I have photos of my daughters and I in downtown Seattle holding the signs. I actually got up and spoke at that. It was a small gathering, but and I found the signs in our basement when I was just cleaning it out, and I was like, oh, and it was all like Roe v. Wade will never go, no Kavanaugh. Like I think they were back to back, and I was like, I hate this timeline, you guys. I hate it.
We were doing something, and I think it was a film that never actually got made, but it was a lot of like round table talks with women having to do with Me Too. It's where I first learned about all the Trump accusations, like prior to him being president. Yeah. But like, there's a lot of women who spoke off the record, who didn't want to come forward with their names. But one of the people that I got to listen to was Christine Blasey Ford, and I'd never listened to her before. I'd never heard her speak. I didn't know anything about her. I think it's before she spoke at the hearing. And so I didn't really know much about her, and I was just kind of like open to, whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember just the tone of her voice, completely off camera, right? Not there was nobody seeing her do this, but they were just interviewing her for background. It's just called background. It just means like they're just doing research basically for a bigger story. The tone of her voice made me emotional because it was so timid, and she didn't want to be there. She didn't want to be a part of this. She had never intended to be a part of this. She knew she had said that she wasn't going to be. She and her husband had talked about it for a long time. She's like, I'm not going to come forward. I know what will happen if I go forward. And then eventually, like as things built, she had been speaking with her lawyers, and they had to make a plan of like, I'm going to speak, but what is our backup plan for safety for our family? Like they had to move out of their house and were in hotels because their children had death threats. Like it was not, and then there was no benefit to her for coming forward. She wasn't like making money. She didn't get like a settlement. She did not want to be there, but like she couldn't sleep because a man who had sexually abused her was now going to make decisions about people who commit sexual abuse. And like, she's like, I can't sleep. And I remember after that, I was just like, oh, that's the system we have. Okay. Like it was really devastating to listen to. And I just was like, I want her to know that we love her and like, she's going to be okay. And I'm really, really sorry that she had to say something and come forward and speak up because nobody else would do it for her. You know what I mean? Like it's another, the idea of survivors having to come forward and fix things for themselves. And
and literally it did no good. Like nothing came from it. That's
and she didn't use her horrible tragic situation to profit off of it. You mean she didn't Erica Kirk the whole thing?
No, she was not hanging from like a whatever, flying on bungee cords. No. She basically went back into kind of her quiet life. She was a professor, went back to work, and we haven't really heard much from her since. And hopefully that means that she's being left alone. I don't know. But like, I don't know how she feels, like if she has regret for coming forward, but I hope she doesn't. Because I remember her. I'm one person, but like, I remember her. I remember the things that she said. I think about her daily. And these are the people that, we're continuing to ignore in this timeline. And I don't know, like it's so big that I just don't know how to change it. Like I hope the midterms change it. I hope people are just like angry, but I just feel like there's not enough emotion involved. People are like unemotional about it at high levels of Congress. And I think they need to have some like rage in order for change to happen.
Yeah, although let's be honest, right? If any woman in Congress or person of color in Congress showed emotion, specifically anger, about this topic,
hysterical.
They would be deemed hysterical and irrational and angry, and God forbid you're Jasmine Crockett or a woman of color, you'd be the angry black woman, or AOC. Like you could, we know this whole playbook on how they would discredit anyone who tried to fight back, and so there is I hear what you're saying, Ellie, and I totally agree with you. And there is also a piece of me that thinks, I think they need to be a little bit emotionless about this in levels of power.
Men need to be emotional. Like men need to get emotional. I think that's the problem.
I think that's exactly it. Like men need to recognize.
Right. It's the idea of like when we go protest and you hear these conversations from Black women who are like, we have always protests. Like we've been there every single time. Like you protest this time. And it's the same thing like in Congress. It's like women are always stepping forward for these cases of child abuse. Like the men need to do this. Like you clearly don't care about the things we're saying. You clearly don't care about our anger. So you do it. Right. We're giving you the information. There's nothing more that we can do than what we've done. And here it is. And here's the evidence. And here's 3.5 million documents.
Right.
Like if you can't do this, then go home. Like go home and let us vote for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. Shark just said in the chat, unless it's one of their daughters, right? And even then, not always. Because that case of the dude in Texas who murdered his own daughter because they got into a fight about Trump. And she disagreed with him and basically, said Trump is a criminal who needs to go to prison.
Right.
So he shot her in the fucking face and killed her and got off.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, I know.
Self-defense, I'm sure. But like, no, it's you see that a lot. You see people who are wealthy and in the administration and have children, and they cannot identify that people in foster care who are abused by billionaires are even human. I heard somebody the other day, I will again not name their name, who was called out by Donald Trump and said his daughter's legs were sexy and look at how all the beautiful girls at Mar-a-Lago, and the girl was 14. And his response to that on air was, girls in New York City grow up fast and they get hit on by older men all the time and they just learn to deal with it. And I just thought,
I think she's talking about Michael Cohen.
I'm not naming names.
You didn't name names. That doesn't mean I'm under any obligation not to name names. That fucking cheating, lying scoundrel who's now trying to flip back because he realizes that he's all over the fucking files too. Fuck that guy.
Can you say that again in your vocoder voice? You pick high or low, but I want to hear the Michael Cohen thing in your voice.
Fuck Michael Cohen. Lying, cheating. Motherfucker.
Yes. I am seeing a lot of Michael Cohen apologists in the Lev Parnas, private chat who are like, you just keep going after him and he's an honorable man. And I'm like, who are these people? Who looks at that guy and sees honor? I don't understand.
Right.
He is there's a lot of stuff going on with that. He
Yes.
he has gone on a conservative podcast circuit lately that he's not posted to his Substack.
Of course he is.
Looking for a podcast deal with a guy named PBD, but it's like a podcast I didn't even know existed, but it's a very, multi-million follower conservative podcast. A lot of what he says kind of gaslights me because I'm like, wait, didn't he just say the other thing before? Maybe I didn't hear that. And so I'll go back and I'll like clip things together. Like he was on Joyanne Reed and he was like, I'm not asking for a pardon. He goes, but I really think that Donald Trump is going to sign this thing, which will give me a pardon. And I need him to sign right here. And she goes, that's a pardon. You're asking for a pardon.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's just like all these things where I'm like, no, he did say that. And then like he'll throw court documents at us and be like, see, this exonerates me. And I'm like, no, this is the court document we gave you. Like, this is the thing that we're saying. And I just feel like he goes in circles to try, especially to women. Like, I feel like he targets women. I feel like he targeted Joyanne Reed a little bit, took advantage of her kindness. And, he's ended up in my DMs threatening me and saying I have to apologize. Like, I think he feels that women are weaker, and I would like him to continue feeling that way because I will prove him wrong. But like,
yes. Sorry, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I'm just hearing that. That's okay. He already in my DMs. Like I'm hearing it in the voice of Lizzo.
Right.
It makes me ask, Michael, why men great till they gotta be great?
I love that song.
What gay man or woman hasn't dated this guy before, right? Like, like if you've dated a man in any capacity, you know this type. You know exactly who this is. The guy who's talking in circles to try to confuse you.
Yeah. There's a lot of gaslighting.
No, that's what I told you. No, it isn't.
No. And so I'm trying to be like, I'm not trying to be diplomatic about it because I am going to defend myself if somebody is aggressive toward me. But I am quietly behind the scenes, like gathering information that's legitimate and evidentiary and like where I can say, no, that is not the case. Like he came to us and he said like he was on this other case, on this other Jane Doe case, and it was in the Bronx and And I just happened to randomly do a podcast with someone named Ed Opperman who goes, oh, by the way, did you know I'm Katie Johnson's private investigator? And I was like, no, I did not know that. And so that's one of the main cases in the Epstein files where a 13-year-old girl accused Trump and Epstein of abusing her. And so we were kind of going in circles about this case. And I was like, well, I can just go ask the investigator. And so he would, Michael would tell us, he's like, there's this case and I it's something different and I never talk. And so I'm like, well, hold on, let me go ask. And the guy goes, no. He goes, there is no Bronx. There is no other Jane Doe case. Like, this is all the same case. And so I would bring it back to him and be like, no. And I'm like, it's on pay. I can't convince you otherwise because I think you already know. Like, I think that's the point. And so, it's been really complicated. And I just need it to be just all out in the open. And then I don't know. But I really feel like there's been a lot of defensiveness that came out of nowhere, which sets off little alarm bells for me, because you don't need to be defensive if there's nothing to defend. And so, that's something that I'm going to keep researching and doing my homework about. But like, I certainly am not going to sit back and let somebody like come at me individually. Like, I feel like that's really shady and childish.
You come after Ellie, you got to come through us.
I was just going to say, like,
Michael Schmendrick Cohen. If you come for Ellie Leonard, there are 909 people in this chat who are coming for you, bitch.
These guys.
Please, let's cut that and make that go viral, Lauren.
Right. And then my car explodes later this afternoon. I'm like, what's happening?
Oh my God. You come after Lawrence's car, we come after you too. I don't have the vocoder, but I mean it.
Right.
You can come after my car. My car is a piece of crap.
Right. Ellie.
What do you write that? Does insurance pay for that? Car blown up by enemy.
Political enemy.
By political enemy, full coverage.
Right. That's an act of God. So no, that's
an act of God.
Trump, God, same thing. Depends on the political leanings of the insurance company, maybe. So I don't know. You're probably SOL because they're probably lobbying to blah 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 blah.
Whatever.
This timeline sucks. I'm going to topic shift a little because one thing I totally do want to talk about, as I alluded to at the beginning, is you didn't initially come to Substack because you were like, I want to take on 3 million Epstein files and get to the bottom of this. You have a justice streak and a brilliant investigative mind. I'm very glad you're doing the work you're doing. Lawrence and I were the same. We came to Substack because I'm like, I'm a memoirist and Lawrence is a science fiction writer. And we have a lot of observational information about being a Gen X person coming up in the world. That was what we intended to do here, was to write about things we were passionate about and our creative outlets. And then we got here and started podcasting, and it's so hard to stay focused on the creative, wonderful things we all love to do and put into the world when the world is on fire, right?
Yes.
And so you are a published fiction writer.
I'm not published. I'm unpublished.
Oh, I thought you had one.
Unpublished. No. I've done
we're going to change that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
I hope. But can we talk some about, like, what does Ellie Leonard like to write when you're not, shoulders deep in Epstein files?
I have a style that in my head is what I aspire to be as a writer. And an author that I really love is Donald Ray Pollock. He wrote Devil All the Time, which is a fabulous book. It's a fabulous, I think it got very poor ratings, but it's a Netflix movie. I love it. I love kind of Dust Bowl era, corrupt preachers, lots of color, lots of like poverty. I love stories that you can imagine telling around a campfire. You sort of hear them in an accent when you read them. Like, I love that style of storytelling. I remember we took the train through West Virginia and I was just like, oh, I think we're in one of these books. Like, it was so beautiful. And so I really love a good story. I really love creating characters that are like crunchy and tangible and like you can see, hear, touch, smell, places that you feel like you're walking around in the setting. Like I'm very informed by the Little House on the Prairie books as a child, where she's just like overly descriptive about everything. So I have to kind of rein that in.
The balloon from the bladder when they kill the pig and they save the little tail to play with, and then they make a balloon out of the bladder. How many decades?
I remember all that.
Of course, we all do. It's
like
so distinctive.
So like those things really inform my writing, and I've tried different like experimental things. Like the first book that I wrote, which I've been publishing and not very consistently, is called Death of a Mayfly, and it sort of pulls from that style, but also from stories of my childhood in a small town that actually exists. And so I wanted to create, the story around. No, it's not. It's not. It's Fort Benton, Montana. Like, it's a very, like a little river basin town that doesn't advance over time. Like, it's like stepping into another decade. And so people are very behind there, but like in the best way. And so I wanted to create a story there, but it was also, like you hear from a lot of authors, something came to them in a dream and then it kind of like blossomed from this idea. And that is what happened. But then, so I spent a year trying to get a literary agent for that one, which is such a depressing process because you're really just trying to get someone to read the book. Like, that's it. Like, I don't care if you don't like the book, but just read it first to make that decision. But it's so hard to get people to get past your cover letter. Like, they just don't even open the first page. And so I got an agent for a little bit. It went on submissions for publishers for a little bit and just like did nothing. And then I wrote a second book as kind of an experiment on like, what if I wrote a book for what people want, for like this generation? What if it's more like colloquial and like a lot of bro humor, and like, how would that read? So I wrote a kind of an experimental book, and then I have like 4 half-started books on my hard drive. And I just, we were talking like, when the world stops being on fire and like rich white men stop being shitty, like I'll have some time to go write a book. And that's the goal. Like, I've had, my next book that I wanted to write forever is like, I was I was like a homeschool kid, so I was raised on Latin and I Claudius from the BBC.
Oh,
nice.
I've always wanted
that explains so much.
I've always wanted to write like a modern take on I Claudius that has to do with like an American presidency, like an American dynasty. Because I feel like it transfers over so well from the Roman Empire and, like the STDs and the affairs and the killing and the crazy people.
Would read.
Yeah. And so I'm like, and that it just feels very Succession to me. Like so I've had this goal to write that next, and now I just have to figure out how to balance the time to do that. But like that kind of thing fills my cup. When you write a good chapter, you close it and you go to bed at like 3 a.m. and you're just like do the little quiet high fives in the dark to nobody. And, that is just so exciting. You go to bed with so much adrenaline because you're like, I pulled it off. That chapter worked. And then sometimes you're like, that chapter did not work. We're going to come back.
Right. Then you wake up in the morning and you're like, what did I write?
Right. Or you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, I couldn't figure it out last night. And now I know.
Always keep one of those yellow legal pads next to your bed.
Yes.
Because if you do not write it in the middle of the night when you get up to go to the bathroom, you will never remember it in the morning.
Right. So as much as you think you're going to remember it, you will not.
You never do.
You never will.
Has Lawrence ever told you about his muse? Because Lawrence has a non-binary muse who comes to him and drops full plot lines on him.
They do.
Just tell me.
I mean, it's really like it's that straightforward. I've got a muse. I've seen them. Like a
real person, or are they a created muse?
I mean, let's talk about real, Ellie. Like
they're a real entity, maybe.
They are a real entity who does not currently exist in what we would call ordinary reality.
Okay.
If you're speaking of the 5 dimensions that we currently inhabit, no. If you're talking about
the Substack. They don't have a Substack.
They don't have a Substack. They have me, and probably a bunch of other people. I feel like I've got this muse, and they're in like muse / angel like rehab kind of like.
Is that why
I think like they wanted to be an adventurer or something, and they're like, oh fuck, I gotta sign muse. Oh my God. And this guy, you're giving me this guy, he never writes down anything that I give him.
Yeah.
What the fuck? So they come, like in the middle of the night or early morning or, exactly like when I got to get up to pee or something in the middle of the night, and like will kick me, like they've literally kicked me in the head with their boot because they wear boots. And been like,
as most non-binary reluctant muses do.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's just me imagining that they're wearing Doc Martens or the fact that they actually wear Doc Martens. Like you've literally got an infinite selection of footwear that you could choose from as a non-ordinary, non-corporeal entity, but you pick boots, Doc Marten boots, and kick me in the head and say like, here's an entire story. Don't write that or don't write it, knowing you're not going to write it, but here it is.
Man, you should have a Substack just for the muse.
Honestly, what I mean? I should. It should be, I don't know their name. They haven't told me their name yet. But like, they're kind of like.
That's interesting.
On the, on like the shitty mail route for being a muse.
Yeah.
Like some people like get, Stephen, the muse is like, oh yeah, no, I deliver visions to Stephen King, and and
he writes all of them full time. That's his job.
Every idea I bring him, he writes.
Another 900-page book.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I usually have
my muse is like, oh no, I've got Winterman, fucking that guy. Like I bring him 100 ideas, and he,
I usually have like an individual muse per story. So like my first story, I needed just like, I wanted people to be morally conflicted. I wanted there to be the antagonist to be a horrible, disgusting, sex abusing, typical guy. But then I wanted people to be morally conflicted and have moments where they started to bond with him because I wanted people to be uncomfortable. And so I was watching, like right at the beginning of writing the book, I was watching The Lighthouse. If you've ever seen The Lighthouse, if you have not, go watch it. It was created to down to the silverware in the drawer. They created it to be like everything that a lighthouse would be in 1870. They filmed it on a certain style of screen where it's not the modern widescreen, but it's like and it's black and white, and it's created to be like perfectly in time. But anyway, there's a character in it that goes crazy over the course of the film, and he's like a young man, and he's like a new lighthouse worker. And in the beginning, you're really bonded with him because he's very young and handsome, and he's working hard, and nobody understands him. And he kind of like left these bad jobs where people didn't understand him. And then over the course of the film, he becomes like this murdering, disgusting, yeah. And so I was just like watching that movie. I don't know why I was watching it, but I was like, that's the guy. And so I just created this whole book around the concept of somebody who you're just like, oh, he's kind of good looking. He's sort of the small town redneck, whatever. He works at the mechanic's office. But he's also this horrible, raping, disgusting guy on the side, and that moral conflict where people are like bounce. And so, yeah, that was my muse for that one. But like they change per book.
Yeah. I just want to note from the chat, Shayla says, I need a muse, I'm museless. You just ask for one. That's all you got to do.
They show up.
Really? That's all you have to do? I don't have a muse.
Oh,
either.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Shar Sundust is in the chat. Shar, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you just got to ask for one.
I would like a
Light
muse.
a candle, express your intent that you would like a muse, and, if they are for your best, highest good, be sure to specify.
Yeah.
I would like a muse for my best, highest good.
Right. No axe murderers. I mean, unless you're writing axe murderer stories and you need that kind of inspiration.
Right. You know what I want more than a muse? This is what I'm putting out there because I know it's a very big new moon, or it
Donald
was
Trump's
yesterday.
impeachment.
I wasn't going to say impeachment, but I was going to go even a step higher than that and say, I'm going to go a step higher and say, I want the three of us and everyone else to live in a world where we can be focused on our art and not on trying to put out every fire of injustice and harm in this crazy fucking timeline we're living in. I want to read Ellie Leonard's novel, and I want to read Lawrence Winterman's science fiction novel. And I want to go write a bunch of memoir and maybe turn it into a novel. And I want us to be doing lives like this where we're with a bunch of writers or other artists who are like focusing most of our energy on what we're most passionate about instead of, I don't know about you, but I until these last couple of weeks when I launched the I Write Out Loud project, I'm like, that was so pushed to the side. Everything, all the focus is on trying to do good in the world. Yeah.
Survive this moment.
I think about the last scene of, I'm forgetting the name of the movie, Jim Carrey. He's in a TV show. What is it called?
Truman Show?
Oh,
Truman Show. Okay. The last scene in the Truman Show when he opens the door, he's like, if I don't see you, I think about that like metaphorically, just shutting the door on this experiment that we've all been living in for the past 10 years and just like walking away and being like, nope, I choose to shut the door on that. And I think if a lot more people choose to shut the door on that, we would like shut the door on that. Like, I think it would be a reality. But people got to step it up.
Yeah, for real.
Beautifully stated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just rewatched that movie not that long ago with my kids, and it held up pretty well. It's so good. Sometimes you go back and watch an old movie and you're like, oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
That one held up. The storytelling component of it, like it held up really well.
Have you ever seen Don't Worry, Darling?
Oh
no.
It's almost. Yeah, that's almost like a modern take on the Truman Show a little bit, and it has Harry Styles, so I'm gonna like it because he's in it. But like, that one's a really great one because it's like the idea of being in a 1950s perfection experiment, and you don't know it. You just think that life is perfect, but then you start to realize you can't step out of it. That one's really good.
It's a great concept, and it's a movie where Harry Styles started boinking what's his name, Ted Lasso's wife.
Oh, great!
Right.
In real life, the director was. God, what's her name? I can't remember her name.
I know who you're talking about too, and I can't remember it either.
Yeah.
Jet lag is not
Anyway.
helping my bad memory.
I know, right? I'm a Prevagen commercial waiting to happen here. I was doing podcasts and couldn't remember the names of TV stars and movie directors.
And right there, that yellow building right there, that's a memory care center, Lawrence.
Oh, yeah. And then I
We got a
started
bed
taking
for you.
Prevagen, and
And
I still
everything's
couldn't
fine.
remember shit, but I was paying $80 a month for vitamins.
It's America.
We're just holding you a seat here at the $7,000 a month memory care where you still need to hire people to help you get out of bed.
American dream, right? Private
What's that?
healthcare. Private healthcare in America.
Yeah.
It is a racket, but I am glad he has this place, and I'm glad they have this nice courtyard where somehow I think I managed to stay connected to the internet and do the show.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
astonishing.
I'm glad
I was
you're
like, oh, we're doomed. At the beginning, I
We're-
was like,
I
Dana's
know.
outside in South Florida. We're doomed.
It's
It's going to
managed
rain.
to.
She's going to lose internet connection. Something's going to
Right.
happen.
No, it's like, I don't know if you can tell, but like the wind's blowing my hair. It's very idyllic weather-wise right now. I had to take my
I know. Well, I thought
sweater
you were
off.
in Seattle, and I was like, how are you outside? It's February.
Right.
Yeah, no. If you look at here, we'll do a little quick tour of these are all plants I had in my house, but because they are not, they're tropical, they don't grow outside in Seattle. But this
Yeah.
one too, you might recognize, oops, hair.
Oh yeah, God, I remember those.
Pretty.
Yeah, Dr. Eric, Dana's in South Florida right now.
Oh yeah, we should hang out, Dr. Eric. I know you're here too, but I am in Pompano Beach at the moment.
We are at the
So-
top of the hour. We should let our dear friend Ellie go. Thank you so much for hanging out with
Yeah,
us. It is always so
course.
fun
See
to
you
chat
just
with
now.
you. Please start saying no to things. Now that you've said yes to us, say no to say no to everything else and take
know.
care of yourself. Not everything.
These ones are cathartic. Like I love the just like chats. They're
Yeah,
the unstructured
we're-
chats. Those are good
we
for
just
me.
get to hang, basically. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Ugh.
Well, I'm glad to see you guys.
I keep writing, Ellie. I mean,
will,
keep doing the work you're doing, but keep writing your stories.
Yes.
I know Walter Ryan is narrating them, right? I need to just go listen.
Yes, he's the best.
Yeah,
Those are
where
the
can
good
people?
you need.
Is there a special place on your Substack where people can find?
You know,
your-
I don't think that Substacks are very searchable. I don't know how that works, but
Right.
like
Yeah,
when you go
they're
to
not
my
great.
profile, you can click the Panicked Writer, and that just opens up to my writing, and you can just scroll through and watch really anything that's on there. So, or
Right. And what
read
is the
anything.
name of the story that Walter's narrating?
It's called Death of a Mayfly.
Death of a Mayfly. Maybe I'll go listen to chapter 1 on my drive.
nice.
It'll be good.
Multitasking. Thank you guys everyone for being here. Thank you, Ellie. This is always it is such a joy. What's today? It's Wednesday. So tomorrow is Fine Feminist Show. I will be here. Lawrence will not, but I have Anna Wick joining me.
Awesome.
It's gonna get saucy, I think. I'm pretty excited about it. Please come back and hang with us tomorrow. I'm gonna set up somewhere a little more stable than outside my dad's memory care. Not sure where it'll be yet, but
Figure it out.
Yeah.
yes.
If you are in the chat on Substack, please click the big orange button up at the top to subscribe
Yes.
to Ellie. If you haven't subscribed
Thank
to Ellie
you.
or to us, if you haven't subscribed to us,
Please and thank you.
yeah, please
Yes.
and thank you. And Ellie, we love you. Come back
Love
anytime.
you too. Will do. We'll see you guys
All right.
later.
Thanks,
Bye.
Good, everybody.
Love you, mean it. Bye. Mwah. Mwah.